My name is Brandon Storms. I am the founder and CEO of Assistt. And Assistt is a mobile application that basically connects people to odd jobs. The best way to think about it in terms of a comparable would be an Uber for odd jobs. So if you had, a leaky faucet, if you need somebody to come cut your grass, clean your pool because your pool guy couldn't do it for whatever reason, you would be able to find help from others in your local community through our mobile application, as well as through our website. So that's what we're building currently. A little bit of background about myself. Originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. The oldest of five, single mom. Grew up in the inner city of Cincinnati. My mom worked her behind off to make sure that we always had food on the table, clothes on our backs, and always made sure that we had at least a decent education. So I think kind of like where we're at now, I grew up doing a lot of odd jobs. So cutting people's lawns, just anything really, in terms of yard work for just neighbors or just helping them out. But just kind of where we're at today, I've been in technology for the last 12 years. I started off my career in 2013 working at Verizon. 2009 working at Verizon. 2013, I worked at Apple for 2 years, and then I've worked for multiple SaaS startups in San Francisco, New York, Miami, as well as Central Florida, which is where I currently live. So I live in Orlando, Florida right now. We just went through the G-Beta Pensacola program, which was awesome, where I met Patrick and Lloyd and obviously Casey. And why I'm here today, I am the father of a 1-year-old from a personal standpoint. And I also have a girlfriend who lives with us, obviously. My son's way more important. I love my son. My son. Yeah. she would say the same thing. Our son is awesome. And they're really a big reason why I'm sitting here today. Last year when she was pregnant, she was 8 months pregnant, just kind of how we got here, and I got the idea of this. She was 8 months pregnant. We were moving into a new house, so she comes to me, she's like, "Hey, babe, we're having a baby." I'm like, "Okay, so we need a house because we're not living in, a small apartment." So we were shopping for a house, got a house, move-in day came, and one of my best friends who was supposed to help us move that day didn't show up. So therefore, you can kind of picture this in your head. This is June. It's Florida. My girlfriend's 8 months pregnant, and we have a 26-foot U-Haul truck that we're moving all my stuff from her apartment and my apartment into this house. So I figured, surely there's I could find help on a platform, or there's something out there where, I could just pay somebody $50 or $100 and whatever, they can come help me. The problem is there was nothing out there on the market like that. A lot of the options were either outdated, really expensive, or there was just no security involved, and I wasn't going to have somebody from Craigslist come and help me move stuff. It wasn't going to happen. So I ended up moving everything myself, and it come to find out after doing a lot of research into the market and talking to a lot of people, a lot of other folks had the same problem I did, where either they needed help, couldn't find it quickly, or there were a lot of people that were looking for, this is obviously mid-pandemic, that were looking for ways to make extra money. And the more research I did, the more and more that I found out that even before the pandemic, over 53% of Americans were looking for ways to make extra money. The number one Googled term between 2019 and 2021, or one of the top three at least, was side hustle. So got me thinking well, you know what? The options out there, quite frankly, aren't very good, and I think I can build something better. So I built my prototype, and then once I built my prototype from a design aspect and built all my screens, I realized that I was terrible at coding. So once I realized I was terrible at coding, I had to go out and find a co-founder and CTO who, his name is Brian. He's awesome, and we started building this thing from scratch. And right around that time is when we got accepted into G-Beta, and we were like, hey, this is a pretty good idea. We should probably build this a little bit faster. So we literally went online and put an ad on for free. We have no money in funding up to this point. We put an ad on LinkedIn, and we interviewed probably 50 people to be engineers. So I now have 3 full-time engineers, 2 NC State grads, a front-end engineer. His name's Adun. He's from Dubai, but he lives in Algeria. He's super awesome. And we're a team of 5, and we've pretty much built everything from scratch, from our own algorithm in terms of matching to our own payment. We've built everything from the ground up. we're going to launch later this month in Pensacola, in Northwest Florida. That's going to be our beta market, and then potentially one mid-major market like Cincinnati, Charlotte, New Orleans, someplace like that. But that's kind of our story and where we're at. We're in the middle of raising our pre-seed round of funding, which is why I'm here this week. And yeah, that's a little bit about my company and kind of what we're all about. Happy to answer any questions.
So I'm curious, Carla moved here from Atlanta. Why are you moving here from Orlando?
Yeah, so when I joined G-Beta Pensacola, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit apprehensive working in tech in like a lot of other large cities. But the more and more that I spoke to folks like Lloyd, like Casey, like Patrick, more O'Sullivan, Kelly Reeser, and the more and more I got kind of embedded into the community, that's exactly what this is a really awesome community. And for me, I always said if I have the opportunity to start my own company, like I really want to make an impact and I really want to make a difference on the community that, we're headquartered in. And I've been in the Orlando tech scene for, a while. And I had the privilege of working for a startup in Gainesville, which is pretty small. It's very similar to Pensacola. There's a company called Feather, and the CEO, Alex, is one of my really good friends. And I asked him all the time, like, hey, like, why Gainesville? Like, what is it about Gainesville that made you guys, because they left and went to Austin and came back. So I was like, what made you, yes, I was like, what made you guys come back? And he's like, man, it's a community. He's like, now there's, multiple companies that are coming out of the UF Innovation Hub. And, there's multiple companies that are, getting bought even, out of Gainesville. And it's like, why not Pensacola? I've been one of those people that my whole life is, somebody's like put an obstacle in front of me or a challenge in front of me, or you can't do this, or you're going to be that, or whatever. And, why not prove them wrong? And I guess like the competitive spirit inside of me, I guess. But I'm hoping that by us moving here, and I think that we have something that can not only serve the community from just like an economic standpoint, but also just from a product standpoint. I think this is a great market for us to be in, to be able to start and just kind of help build this tech ecosystem that you guys have already laid the foundation for.
Any additional questions in the room at all for Carlos? Sorry, Carlos, for Brandon, I'm sorry. I thought Carlos' name up there. I thought you asked a question.
So, any notable comments on local cuisine being different from Orlando? Just a question.
I mean, considering no, I mean, everything that I've had here, I've really liked. I think I went to the Ruby Slipper. That place was pretty good. Been to the Fish House with you. That was really good. I went to some place on the beach. I think Shaggy's maybe. That place was pretty good. So, I mean, I love food, obviously. So, I mean, no complaints. Although my girlfriend is Colombian. So, we have to find some place where we can get some empanadas or something.
Talk to me. I can get
Awesome.
Well,
we have a couple of questions online.
Okay.
Good.
Jody, go ahead.
Hey, Brandon, welcome to Pensacola.
Hey,
we're looking forward to having you here. I love your app. I share my time between Pensacola and New Orleans. I moved to New Orleans in the late 90s, and I stopped in Pensacola on en route. And so I got the hook sunk in me in both cities. But one of the things that I will tell you, you talked about spreading out and wanting to maybe do a beta test in another city. I am going to highly, 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 highly recommend that you consider New Orleans. Okay. Because we all in New Orleans, we were the master of the gig economy before the gig economy even started, because people would do whatever they could to live there. Yeah. It was a big draw. People string things together. Musicians have multiple skill sets. They're trying to do stuff. There's tons of people in the service industry that are trying to do stuff. So the gig economy has been alive and well for 50 years in New Orleans, and it would be a really easy thing for you to push there. So I'm just saying, way before the gig economy became a term, New Orleans was living and breathing it. So that's just my suggestion.
I appreciate that. And you're the second person to tell me that this week so far. I literally had an investor tell me that same thing. That when we were talking about other markets, like I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, so obviously I have a network there. But he literally said the same thing, that New Orleans would be a great beta market, which is why I brought that up. So yeah, that's awesome. Just to hear from someone else.
I'm sorry, any other questions?
Yeah, we have a new participant to 1 Million Cups, Sandra Fast, who has a question for Brandon. Sandra?
Hi there. How are you doing today? I appreciate your presentation. I'm very excited about your app. My husband and I actually own a construction business. And so he's been doing it for 35 years and I've only been here for 8. But one of the things that we run into a lot is he will have to come in after another contractor has been there, not did a good job, left with the money or whatever the situation was, made it worse than it was when we started. So my question is, you know, if someone's going to be on this list in Assistt, are you going to qualify them in any way, or is it the person that's doing the work? Like my husband's name is Phil. He's the contractor. He creates his own profile on your app, or can you elaborate on how do you get on the app, and is there any kind of some qualification of their integrity, or you know, if they have a, I don't know.
Yeah.
You see where I'm coming there? That might be.
Yeah, I get it. I get exactly where you're coming from.
Okay.
So the way that the app is constructed is it's really meant for people that have kind of those odd jobs that necessarily don't require a contractor or somebody in the professional services industry to complete that job because it just doesn't warrant it. So for example, like pulling weeds, right? Or just like simple like lawn care, trimming bushes and whatnot. Like you might not want to call a landscaper out to do that, but you could surely call like your best friend and say like, hey, do you know anybody? Oh yeah, my son will come do it for $50. What we're doing is really cutting out that process for you to take care of all those minor sort of household like odd jobs where you don't necessarily want to pay a contractor or somebody in the professional services industry. And also just from like a liability standpoint, which I think might have been where you're going with that. We do offer what we call like the Assistt guarantee, which we insure, well, not insure, but we guarantee every job up to $1,000. So for example, you have a TV, somebody comes and hangs said TV and they drop it and break it. You would then submit a claim to us and then we would replace said TV. And there's obviously a claims process that happens over a course of a 2-week period. And in terms of like the language of the agreement, the terms and conditions and whatnot. But that is something that like obviously allowing somebody into your home is a big like thing, right? And then from a liability aspect, we want to make sure that not only the homeowner is protected, but also like the person who's doing the job. You know, when you're signing up for the app and you're booking someone, it's the same as if you would call like I said, your best friend and saying like, hey, do you know anybody who can come like install this sink for me really quickly? Like, I don't feel like calling a contractor and paying $500, but I'll pay somebody $100. Oh yeah, I know a guy. All we're doing is just providing you a platform to cut that piece out of it. And you're going to be able to see reviews. You'll know you'll be covered under the Assistt guarantee, et cetera, to be able to make, I guess, the right choice when it comes to picking somebody to do those jobs.
Is that it, Jim? Can I have all the questions?
No.
Okay, one more.
Did that answer your question? Okay.
Is there another question?
Daniel Fraley has a question. Daniel?
Muted.
We need to get you unmuted.
Oh,
There we go.
I did click unmute and then said I was still muted. Okay. I just, that just answered my question, one of my questions, but actually this is really great because about 5 or 6 years ago, I had the exact same business idea and I did start to pursue it for a while. So I did the same thing. I was like, why is there not a better thing than Craigslist to get people together? If you wanted to reach out to me and I would love to like learn more about your business model and what you plan on doing. I was tripped up by some things like, how do you kind of police things? How do you prevent people from, doing plumbing and electrical work and stuff like that you actually need to be certified for, which can vary by, location, but it can vary by city to city too. certain things you have to be licensed for in Pensacola that you don't have to be licensed for in, you know, Alabama. So,
Hey, Daniel, if you put your information in the chat for Brandon, that'd be great, or find ways to have his information be connected, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, you can absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you can absolutely reach out to me on LinkedIn, or my email is brandon@assist.com, assist with 2 T's on the end. So you're more than welcome to reach out to me there as well.